Hey everybody, I'm here with Chris Sain for the first time, and I've titled this video Market Answers. We are at a threshold, Chris. We are at a point that's quite interesting, right? Nvidia
Yep.
reported. Nvidia, in my view, out of all the big tech, has been doing the heavy lifting, pushing the S&P higher. Now, I'll be honest, I was expecting, now Nvidia gave us the pump, but I was actually expecting big tech to come along for the ride, and I didn't quite see that. Matter of fact, the S&P 500, as Nvidia is going higher, the S&P 500's pulled back, and it's ended the day here on critical structural support. And
Yep.
so, we're going to go into a couple charts, and today we're going to give market answers. I'm going to take some questions from some of the fam. But first of all, I just want to thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Josh. And you're absolutely right, man. Nvidia blew it out the water again and got a nice boost, but then the rest of the market sold off. Nvidia, the only one that stayed 10 toes down and held up today, man. And so that was unique to see as well. But you're right, stocks fell right back to key critical support levels. And so I'm interested to see if we bounce from here or we begin to consolidate a little bit at these levels and what the market does.
I have some active theories. Okay, so I'm looking at these charts and I'm trying to determine. Okay, well, if we go down this road, we'll end up here. But if we go down this path, we're going to end up here. So,
Yep.
looking at the S&P 500, here's a couple things I see. So, we got all the way back to all-time highs and we made a little bit of a higher high. Okay,
Hmm.
so if we do begin to fall from here and we don't climb higher, I've modeled my view that the market had needed a 6% correction. I modeled that after the 2021 run up because it did
Nice.
something
Very
similar
similar.
then, right?
Very
So
similar.
when it did that 6% correction right before the end of the run in 2021, it had four super strong weeks, each one pushing higher all the way back to the top of the range. Okay, we got the 6% correction, we got
Hmm.
bullishness back in the market, but this is the week that we were supposed to push higher, right? We were supposed to get a nice solid candle, and we had this alignment with Nvidia reporting. They killed it, but no strong candle. And so let's
True.
talk about that. If we come down from here, okay, and we come back to where we were a couple weeks back at that, what I'm going to refer to as that just beneath 5,000. It was like 49.50.
Hmm.
In truth, we've got the, first of all, in my view, that's not good. Okay. But
Right.
let's talk
Right.
about some structure. Okay. That could be the beginnings of a head and shoulder pattern. And this little bit of a taller, higher high that we just made,
Hmm.
we shouldn't fail here. But if we do, that could be the head. We could have had the left shoulder. We could have just made the head. And
Yep.
in my view, we basically now are going to go sideways. I'm just curious, what if you had to react either from charts or gut or your opinion? What are your thoughts on where we're at and the fact that we just got this news and didn't climb?
I agree. Same thing. Listen to this, Josh. For me, I'm gonna use the SPY, and you took the SPX for us. Okay, so you got the 5,000 level. I'm gonna break it down for everybody that uses the SPY. 523 is a critical technical support level. That would line up with your numbers, Josh. And if we
Yep.
lose that, I think the head and shoulders pattern will manifest and will start a downtrend. However, Josh, if we are able to hold the 523 critical support level, I think we can mount a comeback back to 530 and then back to today's all-time high and then go to 545. So right now is one of those time periods of you have to wait and react versus front run and guess. And so for me, I'm going to be very, very focused on, do we hold up at these levels that we fell to today? Or do we bounce maybe to close out the week and then get some more momentum to the upside? Or was Nvidia uh the last domino standing today, and everything else started at the beginning of the fall, and then Nvidia joined the party tomorrow and some of next week. So I'm watching those couple things very, very critically right now, just to kind of get a feel for how I want to play it. But to your point, I always say, if this, then that. If we hold up at 523, Josh, that's support. It's at 525 now. But if we hold up at 523 support and go back higher and make new all-time highs, then I'm going to stay bullish on all of my thesis and apps and other stocks as well. However, if we lose that level, then I'll change my thesis, and that's where the if this then that comes into play. Then I'll again pivot and start looking for more opportunities to the downside.
Okay, I'm going to take people into my chart real quick, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to give you some data on the Magnificent Seven, and we're going to get your opinion. But I got to do two things real quick. One, you got to load your catchphrase on the Stocks with Josh page.
Oh man, I see Keenan in there. So Keenan, what's up, my baby?
There you
But
go.
what's up? What's up, YouTube? You guys already know, man. I had to come love on Josh
Hey,
today, man. Josh hit me up, family, and he's one of my favorite technicians in the game. He's absolutely the best in the game, if you ask me. And I love his content. I love his technicals. And when he asked me to join him, I said, Josh, I rarely miss, but you never miss. And so I had to come on here, y'all, and get it in with Josh.
well, first of all, I'm thrilled to have you here. Now, on the odd chance that there isn't someone who's already that's not subscribed to your page, I've got your link in the description of this video. So you guys, this guy, I watch his videos, I love it, and I just want to shout you out for what you do. Is you are really good about giving people the next play. So it's like on Wednesday to Thursday or Monday to Tuesday, you're like,
Yeah.
here's a way to make $1,000 tomorrow. And I watch your videos, Chris, and I'm like, dang, he's got, he's seen it the same way I am. So that's one of the reasons why I had you on the page. Besides, you're a YouTube star, but also because I trust your technicals, and I think I've seen more than once by watching your show that we lined up. Got to shout out Keenan Grace, super chat. You appreciate that. On top of that, those Fed minutes spooked a few folks. Rate increase whispers. Now that's crazy. Let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that before I get into the SPX chart. So what everyone has to understand is that the Fed comes out on these incremental scheduled events, right? And it always moves the market. But what I think they do is they get those state feds to come out and drop hints. There's no
Yep.
disunity. These people aren't coming out and causing trouble. They're not arguing with each other publicly. They're
They're not divided.
No, they're not divided. You know what? They're prepping us for they're trying to guide it like a little ship, little changes along the way. So what
Mm-hmm.
prep did we get? We got the prep that the economy is still strong, inflation is sticky. The housing sales data we just got showed that housing sales dropped by 2% because houses went up in price. So people can't afford them, or it's not the right rate environment. And so we've got housing prices going higher, less homes being bought because of it. And the Fed's telling us, guys, inflation is sticky. Don't count on that cut. I'm jumping around a little bit, but we got so much to do here, man. We're going to try to push out some content. I've made a point to say when Tesla popped the other day that it's got to come
Mm-hmm.
down, because
Mm-hmm.
Tesla and the rate aren't Tesla's not going to go up until that rate cut comes down, right? It's not going to
Facts.
really pop. And so the more the feds were being hawkish, the more I knew that even though Tesla ripped on good news, it had to come down. We saw that today. So I'm going to go to that SPX chart, but real quick comment on Tesla, Chris.
Absolutely. After that pop, I told my YouTube family that Tesla was going to retrace that move from 186 back to 173. If I'm not mistaken, we should be very close to that level today. But you're right, it can't hold up there without the rate cut support. And so I do think it will, after the retracement, bounce back up to the upside if the SPY holds up at 523 critical support. So it's one of those things you have to look at the macro environment and the indexes to see if they have strength left, because if they begin to sell off, Tesla gonna come right down with it. But if they hold, which I'm leaning towards hold, so I like to take a stance of right now. I still think we're going back to the upside. Yes, it might be over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks, but if Tesla can hold, then I think we can recapture 186 and possibly 192.
I'm with you. We do not have confirmation of the market breaking down. Matter of fact, if we go back to the 2021 market top and look at all the structure and all the price action that we got, there was a moment in 2021 where we made a new high like we did this last week. And then we came back, tested the previous high, and then
Yep.
shot off like a rocket ship. Well, let me show you today's chart so that we can digest that idea. So you can see right here that this was our pullback of 6%. We've climbed up with beautiful strength. Now I've been telling people, Chris, that until we break over this middle line, we don't have a confirmation of really going higher, right? So
Right.
this is sort of
Right.
the line in the sand. Now today we are waiting for a back test. This is the previous structure. We didn't get it yet, so we got it today. And
Mm-hmm.
you guys, I try to make it simple. You got the stop underneath the previous structure. You got the loving eyes above it. Tomorrow, we kind of need to rip. I think if in the morning, if we push beneath 52.68 briefly, maybe the first 15 minutes of the market, or we open beneath it, that's fine. But let me just tell you guys, tomorrow's candle, for us to be optimistic, we need to get back up to 53.50, man. We need to get back up there to the top of the channel
Yep.
because today, it's doing what we expect it to do. We don't have confirmation of a complete breakdown, but the fact that we're sitting on 52.68 without a bounce, it means that really the only other time we can bounce would be tomorrow. Any thoughts on that, Chris?
Absolutely. I totally agree. I'm hoping we get a bounce, even if we sell off to continue today's sell off the first couple minutes of the market tomorrow. But if we can find a base and then begin to kind of go back to the upside, I think everything you kind of laid out could come to fruition and give us a that positive momentum back in the market. But I agree, we got to get to 53, 55 and back around that level ASAP.
Yeah. So I'm getting a lot of my volume is low. Guys, I'm making these little adjustments up. And oh, maybe yeah. So if I make it too loud, you got to let me know right away because I'm doing these little adjustments. First of all, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for hitting the like. Take a minute. We got more viewers than I do likes. Let's straighten that out and hit that subscribe because we are giving market perspective in advance. I mean, we're not, I think, CNBC's got their thing, but, what all I ever hear when I watch CNBC is they tell you what's happening right now. And if the market's bullish, then they're bullish. If the market's
Hmm.
bearish, they call in bearish people and say, hey, we need a couple of bearish guys. The
Word they
market's
do.
bearish. But what Chris and I are doing is we're giving you projections forward so that you can take those into consideration and make some of your own plans. It's funny, Keenan, I appreciate Keenan, being here. I got a call while we were talking. I got a call from Larry. So the squad is not too far away, and it's cool to have Chris here. I wanted to share this with you. So I did some charting today, and I'm going to share with you some interesting percentage points because I'm ultimately going to come to you here in a minute, Chris, and I'm going to ask you if there is a big tech bubble right now, right?
Hmm.
And I know that we're kind of speculating, right? But I'm curious, your perception on how much of a big tech bubble do we have? We know we're not at the bottom of the range, and let me give you these statistics, and then I'd like to get your thoughts on it. So
Okay.
now I didn't do all of them. I did some of the Magnificent Seven. So Nvidia, out of curiosity, this thing from its October lows. So I don't like to go the 12 months or this year. I want to look at what was the last swing low. The most significant last swing low on all of the big tech stocks was back at the tail end of 2022. It was October through December. Big tech really hit its lows. Um, would you Would you venture to guess how much Nvidia's come up since October of 2022?
200%.
This thing has come up 883% from its October 2022 low. Now, what's
It's a
interesting
beast.
is on Nvidia, I actually went a little further back and I thought, well, that's interesting. Let me see how much it went up from its March of 2020 low. So now the
Hmm.
number I'm going to give you now, it's not from March till now. It's from March to the swing high of 2021. It made a 667% move from the
Wow.
COVID news to the end of 2021. Now we've just made a move from the low of 2022 of 883%. And that's to the tip of today, to the bottom of 2022. So let's just take a minute and be sad that we didn't put more money in Nvidia. this has this has been the big tech winner. But then let's take a look at Apple. Now, just for kicks and giggles, and I hate to put you on the spot, but you can just play the advocate here. So how much do you think Apple's come up from its January 2023 low? That's when it dipped. It dipped later than the other big techs in 2022. So in 2023, from its low to its high, not its current price, what percentage do you think it moved up?
I'm gonna say plus 40%.
That's actually a pretty decent guess. It went up 60%.
Mm-hmm.
And so, right off the bat, it matters what you're investing in. And just if you take a look at those two
And
percentage.
and Josh, when you invest.
Oh, yeah, man.
So
Yeah, I
so
like
it
that.
so like so some people, based on when you buy, you could be underwater. So for example, I buy Apple. This is how I knew that range, because I only buy Apple at 140 and below. So that low and that high hasn't been that huge of a move. They come back, they go to 196 every year and come right back down. So because I know that, I'm looking like, okay, that's not Nvidia. That ain't 800%, but 60% ain't bad if you get in at the right level. 40% ain't bad if you can't catch the full move, but you got in and you get a 40% return on your investment.
Yeah, I think Warren Buffett typically does an average of 20% above the SPY. So Warren beats the SPY. The SPY, I think, returns an average of 10%. Typically, our congressmen, our senators, are beating most investment firms with 12% above market average. And so, we that's a whole other story. But what's interesting is this idea of, think about that, Nvidia 10 to 18x Apple, I think. It 10
Yep,
well
it did. It
it
did.
did.
It did. You're
So
you're spot
what
on.
so which is the growth story? I mean, I think that tells you that Apple's in big tech, and the big tech is often viewed as the growth stocks, but and that's incredible growth. 60% is really cool. But the fact is, one is definitely looking stronger than the other.
And then listen to this, Josh. Apple is more, I won't call it a full value stock, but it is more defensive. People flee there when things get a little friction in the market, and it again, it won't go down super heavy, but it won't go, but it's that middle of the road. Everyone's comfortable with it, but you won't get that, like you said, that 800, 600% with super growth like you see and have with Nvidia. So those days are over for Apple, but nevertheless, 60% over 5 years, 60% from the low, that kind of stuff is still, you're going to still get that level, 40 to 60% over time, over the long haul, still being in something like Apple if you get in at the right price and buy on those sell-offs.
So I want to give you three more of the big tech, but then I'm gonna ultimately ask you, how concerned are you that big tech is in a bubble, and how much higher can you expect any of these to go in 2024 or the first quarter of 2025? But let's just look at Google. So Google, from its 2022 low, went up 116%, almost double of Apple, and so that tells you something about Google. Amazon did even better. They were up 135% from their December 2022 low. And then Microsoft was up 103% from its November 2022 low. And you remember, Chris, when everyone back in the day was talking about 2023 being the mother of all recessions?
Yep. Yep.
And we
Yep.
just went through, and the only stock that didn't go up 100% out of big tech,
Was Apple.
obviously put Tesla aside for a minute, that's,
Was Apple.
was
Yep.
Apple.
Hmm.
Is yes or no, is Apple king of is it the investment king of Wall Street, or has it been dethroned permanently? Just curious.
I think it's been dethroned permanently, but it's still a key player. But the big dogs now will be Microsoft, Google, and Nvidia. Google being a close second to Nvidia, and then Microsoft is just always a beast. Their business model is easier to. It's like an ETF. All the different facets that Microsoft has. It's just a beast of a company, and it's well ran, and the balance sheets is phenomenal. So Apple will still be in the mix, but they are going to be on the lower end of the mix. And cell phones and that super cycle and people running out, that they're going to have to find their next thing to generate that buzz again, or they're just going to live with the fact that their ecosystem is sticky and all of us that's already in it just will keep it afloat. So they'll be fine. That ain't where you want to look for the super growth. You want to look. You can get conservative growth in Apple from this day forward.
So I've got a bullish and bearish view on Apple. I'm going to give you the short version of it. So my bearish view is that there's the liability of Tim Cook retiring, and the fact that there isn't clearly defined leadership. I also have the bearish view that Warren Buffett is in his 90s and could pass away, and we're going to see a problem with leadership in Berkshire Hathaway, and they have 6%, and we know that that recently they dumped Apple instead of buying.
Mhm.
I think they dumped 13% of their position, and so Tim Cook retiring, Warren Buffett possibly moving on, bless his soul. But now that company's slightly leadership, slightly they will have an issue with leadership moving forward, right? And then you've got the bigger problem is that Tim Cook, when he should have been investing in AI like Microsoft, which was definitely the leader in that, he was over there trying to make an EV. Well,
Right.
EVs, the market was getting saturated. Would I like a Apple anything? Yes, I love Apple. I want the TV, I want the watch, I want the car, but they never got it off the ground, and it became overly saturated space. And the king of EVs, Tesla, isn't he's struggling, right?
Hmm.
So that's a massive misstep. And so you put all that together. Biggest problem is that they haven't provided how AI is going to radically change our lives. I mean, they have the most obvious AI integration in Siri, but it's not
Hmm.
there. I'm not hearing them talk about it. So that causes me to be bearish. But now let's look at the bullish side. One, we came all the way down to 165 and we held, which was a reminder. That was critical threshold, right? That was a
Yep.
critical threshold. We held that, and that was a reminder that that Wall Street wasn't dumping their Apple. They may not be bullish on it, but they weren't dumping it. And so the bullish scenario is that at any given moment they could come out and they could give us those AI solutions. But here's my concern, Chris, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Here's my concern about that happening or not happening. They're so fiscally conservative. It's why Warren loved them. But that
Hmm.
fiscal conservativeness has kept them from spending the money that they need to bring the products that are relevant today to market. And so now their strengths are becoming their weakness. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. Their conservativeness has stifled innovation.
Yeah.
And because of that, they're late to the AI party and they're taking a huge hit because of it. And then their focus was in the wrong areas for too long, like the EV thing, for example, the car. And so you don't have any new products, no new phones on the horizon, no new iPads. And then the car thing never got going. So then you think about this. right now we're simply going to be living off a legacy. The bullishness of Wall Street is going to be from a familiarity standpoint. We know this company, the balance sheet is good. Long as Tim Cook is there, we are okay in Apple. So they'll maintain their valuation. They'll maintain that value slash defensive stance that everybody flees to, but it won't be the growth that we're going to see from Nvidia for years to come and Google from years to come. So again, and Amazon. And so with that being said, one thing I like though is the fact that it's still a safe haven. You can still it's still better than having your money in a bank account to be in Apple.
Yeah.
It's still, and so for that sake, that asset is still going to be fine.
Yeah, and there's opportunity on the table for them to do some of the things that they didn't do. And so I'm definitely not rating Apple a sell, but trust me, when it did not go unnoticed by me, when Apple came back and really made a double top while Microsoft, Google, and Nvidia, the AI companies, just screamed higher, right? So what
Yep.
and I also noticed many days, Chris, that Apple would be red on big up days. That's
Updates. They
selling into
never.
strength. They were selling into
Yep.
strength.
They selling into strength. You're right. You're absolutely right. And you saw even today, you saw the rotation out of Apple. Look at today what Apple did, and look at what Nvidia did. They were selling also on a day like today,
Yep, yep.
repositioning like we want to be in. They said what you. They took your thesis, Josh. They want to be in Nvidia because that's where the next level of growth going to be throughout this remainder of this year and into 2025 and 2026, I believe.
You know, on this note, about a year ago or so, when we were coming up on 400 on Nvidia, I think 500, I had made the comment that by this time next year that it would have a $2 trillion market cap, and that happened.
Hmm.
And one of the things that's fascinating, Chris, if you go back and you look at the like the 25, 30-year view of Apple, and you put on your screen the stock splits, the dates, and you compare that chart, and forgive me, fam, for not having it ready to throw to you guys, but I've looked at it. You compare that to Nvidia, and that chart is almost identical, right?
Wow.
And you know, shortly after Apple made its biggest run up, it was shortly after that they did the split, right? And you
Hmm.
know, so I kind of had the feeling, as a lot of people did speculate, get to $1,000 Nvidia, and then they're going to do a split. And so here's the thing: I will warn everybody that if you look at Apple, it did have after the initial run up, right? As it got closer to the stock split, it ran up again. So
Yep.
we're going to have a little bit of pullback to digest the move we just had, right? So expect that. Then, as we get closer to the split date, we're going to run up again. So it's almost
Hmm.
like you want to look at the time difference between now and then and recognize we're probably going to do a little V. After the stock split, it did come down again, but then it began to go, oh, it kind of went sideways for about, I'm talking about Apple now. It then went
Yep.
sideways for like 6 months, and then it shot up like a rocket ship again. So
Hmm.
I just don't see why Nvidia won't do that. And wow, they delivered, you know, that 3 times revenue. And I personally don't believe that the AI, I don't believe that there is any AI bubble whatsoever. I think that the little bit of run up we've seen on big tech, I think that big tech is in a little bit of a bubble. I think, but they're also, it makes sense that they ran up, but I think that we're going to see a little bit of a pullback. But I don't think the AI story is barely off the ground. We
Yeah.
are so new to this, and this has been something that I've said, and I'd love to get your opinion. Because of AI and because of our politicians, you know who they are in Washington. Our politicians love to print the money. Okay,
Yep.
so between stimulus and technology, it's hard for me to see any mother of all recessions. And then the problem is, from my point of view, and I'm going to ask you your opinion here in a second, the bears are like, but we've got so many problems. And it's like, yeah, but you know what? It's like it's like a rich person, okay? It's like someone who's rich who doesn't have their finances in order. So they got a lot of money flowing in, right? But they're
Mm-hmm.
wasting it here and they've got bad habits over here. And then you've got someone who's conservative looking at them and going, I don't see how this is going to succeed. It won't forever. But as long as it's like the heyday and as long as that money's moving, they can go pretty far. That's how I view the US economy. What are your
Yep.
thoughts?
Same thing, man. Bears have to remember that Main Street and Wall Street is two different things. And the AI is just getting started. The AI is just scratching the surface. So Nvidia has led the way, but it's got to be some other companies that's going to join the party, if you will, and also get some shine in years to come that we might not even be aware of yet. So when you thinking about a AI bubble, no, there'll be pullbacks, but it's not to confuse a pullback or correction with the recession or that the bubble has burst. No, we're into this. Like I say, we got enough runway to at least 2026, Josh. That's my bullish outlook. We can keep doing what we're doing right now. And that's why I want everybody that's listening to make sure we are buying the dips. Make sure we're buying those 6 to 7% pullbacks and little downward periods. We on my channel, we say when there's blood in the streets, it's time to eat. We need to look at these down days, down periods to get in because you got the rest of this year, all of 2025, and possibly up to 2026 even for this AI thing to kind of then begin to reach those levels where, man, we already got all the Nvidia chips. We already got all the products Nvidia offer. Now you start seeing those multiples kind of start stagnating a little bit.
I want to take everybody into the Bitcoin chart. And then I'm going to ask you your opinion. We obviously have, the ETH spot ETF that's on the table. And we had this incredible run up from around 56,000 all the way up to 68. Let me pop up. I'm doing a little cosmetic changes. So check out this, Chris. We've got, we had an ugly candle. So this is this week's candle, right? Now it's Thursday. We haven't closed. But if we all stop and look at it, every time we've come to 68, even though we've pressed above it, so we pressed above it, we only one time closed above it here, okay? Now, the way that a bullish move is confirmed is that you press through it here, but then you have to open and close a candle above it. It didn't do that, right? And so then we pressed through here, but we didn't open and close a green candle above it there, right? And then we pressed above it here, we failed again. Now we've pressed above it this last week, but here we are going into Thursday. The SPX doesn't look great. Bitcoin, this is an ugly, ugly weekly candle so far, but
Yeah.
one day can change it. What we'd be looking for for Bitcoin to have a breakout move, and I'm just going to throw this on here. We're looking for this breakout move that we got. We're looking for it to close above 68, and we want to then open a candle that closes above 68, and that would be a pretty strong confirmation that we could rip from here. I know that I'm not really the question's a little bit vague, but you see that SPX is set up poorly today. Bitcoin's set up poorly today. There's one more day in this week. How are you feeling about crypto right now? We got this bullish news on the horizon with ETH. How are you feeling about crypto right now?
I think with crypto, that ETF, that Ethereum ETF that gave us an early pop earlier this week. Coinbase went crazy, Ethereum went crazy. What may take shape, Josh, is that ugly chart may be a opportunity to come back a tad bit to finish out the month and then find a base to go back and retest that 68 level before breaking through, because I think crypto will be part of the party along with AI stocks to close out the year. So yeah, it's not looking, you see all those rejections, you see those wicks when you had that chart up, you see how many times the sellers rejected us at those key levels that we need to close above.
Yeah.
That's letting me know where the sellers are sitting. So when we can we got to come back down, Josh, to get more momentum. We got to get more strength, more momentum, more volume to bust through that level the next time we get up there. So we might fizzle, we might consolidate a tad bit, go sideways, and then go back and retest that level for a breakthrough towards the end of the year, like elections. So we got elections this year, Josh, and so I'm thinking the October, November. So October it might be down a little bit, but November through December, mid October through December, we can have that momentum to fully clear that level, then reuse it as support and go higher. 68 gonna be support
Yeah.
to go
So
higher.
I think it's, first of all, I want to acknowledge the point that you made and just kind of rehearse it for the family. We are still within the month. So I showed a weekly candle, but the real candle that matters is the monthly candle. And the
Yep.
fact that we've come up and touched that 68.5 on the weekly, um, it can close here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And support in my mind is between 66 and 67. We can come back and play here. And I lean bullish. And to be honest with you, even though it's a little scary because we've had a really strong run up, this is actually, if you are leaning bullish, you kind of want to buy on any of the pullbacks if you're
Right.
sticking to your trade plan. And I'm just going to say to the fam, it's just as hard for me to stick to my trade plan and I'm bullish on Bitcoin and I'm bullish on the S&P 500. We've gotten a little bit of a pullback. No bearishness has been confirmed, but I want you to know it's causing hesitancy. And that's why I love getting on here with Chris because, it's good to talk these things through.
Yep.
It's in these moments that, you got to stick to your trade plan. We don't in any way have a breakdown of this market. And so it's
Right.
just that it's a little scary after it's run and you're thinking, oh,
Um, I'm
oh,
I'm so glad you told him that, Josh. Everybody, listen to what Josh is saying, and I'm gonna reiterate it one more time. These days are just simply pullbacks in a bull market. No structure was lost. No key support levels was broken. So don't don't turn bullet bearish until something breaks or something more catastrophic happens. We need to maintain on the upside, knowing that these dips are buying opportunities. So you have to look at them as such and keep your thesis intact for this next leg higher that's coming.
we're going to talk about the meme stocks. We're going to get Chris's opinion on those here in just a minute. I'm going to answer a couple questions. Are we still, first of all, I hope my sound is okay. Every
You
time
sound
someone,
good.
okay,
You sound real
good.
good.
Every time someone says it's a little low, I go and tweak it a hair, but I don't want to get it too high. Okay. Are we still bullish on Apple short term and bearish on Tesla short term? The answer is yes. I'm still bearish on Tesla because Tesla's rate sensitive. Now I'm still bullish on Apple because the market's moving higher and it already came off of its lows. And until the market confirms that it's breaking down, I've got to stay in my bias that Apple is going higher. Now, I also want to point out, and I'm going to throw up the Apple chart. Go ahead and give a thought while I go get this Apple chart dialed in the way I want it, if you could, Chris.
Absolutely. Why you getting that? I feel the same, but for me, I'm bullish on Tesla if it holds above 173 and if it can hold 167. If we can maintain those levels, I think we can push higher. So I definitely get the rate sensitivity, but I'm definitely still feeling like they can take off at any given time on the inkling of some positive news. And so we'll see.
Well, on that note, I also want to just iterate that when I'm only bearish on Tesla in the local, the long term, my prediction is that we'll finish this year and Tesla will be between 220 and 240. So big picture view, I'm bullish on Tesla. But let me show you guys this chart real quick of Apple. So I just want to point out this pattern so you guys can remember it. We don't know if we're going to get it. 190 this week. We got above it, but this is a rejection candle. And so you don't want to take a bullish position until you see some candles close above 190. But I would say, And, we're in this week's candle. It hasn't closed yet. So let's see if we end up closing above or beneath. We're at a deciding line. But here's what I'm watching out for. If we get the confirmation on this 191, you guys will hear it from me. If we do, there's no reason we won't come back up to the top and test 201. This giving us a megaphone pattern. Megaphone patterns basically have they have lower lows and higher highs. And it basically means distribution and indecision. So if we do get to the top of this channel and we do get a megaphone pattern and we do get rejected there, then this would tell us that we've actually been in distribution on Apple since July 2023. So I just want everybody to remember that. As far as it goes, line in the sand at 190. If you are trading scalp option trading Apple, technically it's leaning bearish today, but so was Bitcoin and the entire market. Let's see how this week finishes up. You go for the long when we get confirmation above 190, you go for the long up to 200. This is definitely not, we don't have confirmation to short. Just wanted to throw that out there for you guys. All right, let's talk about the meme stocks. I'd love to hear your opinion, Chris. And first of all, did you participate in the meme stocks? Do you think the meme stock is over right now?
So I didn't participate this go round. I'm talking about the most recent one where Roaring Kitty kind of leaned up and got everybody back excited. I didn't. I didn't short or I didn't participate. I was looking at AMC, and one of my thoughts was watch them try to, what is it called, sell some shares on this run up, and sure enough, they did that and got AMC right back down to the fours. And so I had a feeling, my gut was telling me that's going to happen this go round. And so, but let me say this, Josh, I was so excited for the excitement that it brought back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just remember so many people and the conviction people had. But one thing I also like was people are much more savvy. They're much more experienced now. So the things, good and bad, that they might have experienced, all of them are better for it today. So I love when the memes are rocking and rolling. That just lets you know it's risk on in the market, man. And I like to take advantage of things because other things run too. Like it ain't just memes that gets a boost. Bitcoin and crypto and everything else takes off too. And so it's good for the overall beneficiary of the market. And so, yes, man, the memes are back. FFIE, that one has been one that's been on a lot of people's radars as well, doing its thing. And so, again, a lot of things are bringing some of the retail traders back. But I love that we're being more tapered and more moderate with it this time around.
Well, I want to show you a chart, Chris, and I want to get your opinion on it. So I'm just gonna. This isn't like science here, but I want to point out that if you take this channel, this tight price action move that we were in 2020 and 2021, and you move it over and you kind of line it up with where we're at, it's a little bit of a visual reminder at how much stronger the move has been since October of 2023. So we were climbing in a slower time frame and longer in the previous move, and you can see that with just the comparison of the two channels. Now when we had that move back in the day, Chris, we had about a 30-day window of the meme stocks pumping, and we had the double top on Bitcoin. So I will say that if the meme stock rally is over, and I think that the minute everybody believes it's over, that is the minute that we could get another pop.
That's what's going to take off.
So, I'm keeping my eye on it. I'm keeping my eye on it, but I've advised everybody that's on this channel to use a stop loss. Don't be bag holding AMC till the next bull run of 2026.
Right.
What I'm saying is if we got just one pump, and the last time we got a series of pumps on the meme stock, if we just get one now, I just showed you that the market's moving higher and faster than it did before. It could tell you we're not going to get, a 1 month meme stock rally. And we did go up faster, but we might not go up as long. And so these are what I refer to as, those are some bearish confluences. But in the end, all that it really means is that we might get a 20% correction. And some
Mm-hmm.
people are, some people are thinking, well, I better not buy anything or I better not invest, when we just got done telling you that Nvidia went up 900% in 2 years. And
Exactly.
so you're afraid to invest in good companies on Wall Street when the overall market might pull back 20%, but they're 900% tech opportunity gains. So I'm not that bearish, man. I mean, I get that we'll have a pullback. I'm expecting a swing low. I just don't think it
Mhm.
means I stop investing for 2 years.
Exactly. The pullbacks is when I get a chance to shine. I'm a buy low investor, long term investor when it comes to buying shares, and so only time I really can get in the game heavily is on those 20% pullbacks, 7% pullbacks. Because other than that, I'm dollar cost averaging the whole time, Josh. So I personally look forward to the pullbacks. Because listen to this, I have limit buy orders. So you talked about this earlier, but you didn't go fully on with it. I have certain levels charted out. Like if the stock come down to this price, I'm buying a boatload of shares, or it's gonna alert me to buy some long dated call options. So I'm always looking for a steep pullback, if you will, in some of these assets, so I can again take advantage back to the upside move it'll make.
One of the things I want to just build on that, Chris, because the family that's here listening to us, they're trying some of them some of them are doing really, really well. Some are trying to get established. And there's a journey. And I am convinced, Chris, that we all relatively walk the same journey.
Absolutely.
We all blow up an account. Okay.
Yep.
And I don't ever want anyone to feel ashamed about that because they do it on Wall Street. They do it on Wall Street worse than we ever will.
Worse than we do,
Yeah,
right?
they do it and they drag everybody else down with them, right? You
Hmm.
and I might have blown up an account when we first began trading, but I didn't drag nobody down with me.
Right. It was just me.
That's
It was
just
just me,
me.
me and my losses.
Yeah, me and my losses. So yeah, I wanted to segue briefly to the miners, Bitcoin miners. That's was a very popular play for a lot of people, but it's cooled off. Even though
Really.
Bitcoin went all the way back up to 70 here recently, the miners have been down in the gutter. I'm gonna get your thoughts while I set up a chart to show the family on that.
Get the miner set up. But Jacqueline St. Paul asks, do you think Nvidia will split? Nvidia is set to do a 10-to-1 split, Jackie, on June 6th. So after market close on June 6th, Nvidia will be around $90 to $100. So look for that new reduced price so it could be more inclusive, so more people can afford it at that lower price. Nothing changes about the stock or the company. The price will just be more digestible so that everyday people, retail people, and everyone else that wants to be part of it can now afford it at a much better level than $1,046.
Yep. Thanks. I actually was going to have you answer that. So I appreciate you being on top of it. All right. So I want to share this with everybody. It's kind of an interesting, we're doing lots of stuff, a little bit of jumping around. So we got an interesting article today. Let's see if I can get this in there. Cardano CEO, I don't see how Bitcoin survives. It's a religion, not an ecosystem. It will die a slow heat death. Real quick, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, that's funny. That's funny. The satire that comes with these memes and these cryptos and these Bitcoin, man, it's all funny. No, Bitcoin will be fine. Bitcoin will be fine. I would say for those that get swayed by that stuff, stay the course. Stay the
Yeah.
course. Know what to take, but know what to spit out. Stay the course when it comes to Bitcoin.
I thought that was actually a little bit bearish on Cardano. It seemed a little bit desperate. What I would argue if I were here with him today is I would say we cannot forget that the entire blockchain ecosystem is, and I think always will be, tied to Bitcoin until
Yeah.
Bitcoin gets surpassed market cap. If Bitcoin ever comes down, then I think it would send shockwaves through all of crypto. Crypto would
Yeah.
survive, but I think it would send shockwaves. So it's kind of like what you say, he's hurting himself
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make that
Exactly.
to make that stop.
Exactly.
Uh,
He's not doing Cardano a favor with that.
No, no. And to be honest with you, he made the comment about the ecosystem. The fact is, they're building the ecosystem. That's the next
Mm,
large pump in crypto over the course of time is going to be the massively growing Bitcoin ecosystem that's coming. Those are the projects you want to get on early because of how well Bitcoin's getting adopted right now with the spot ETF. So
yeah.
every bit of his commentary seems like, in my mind, I don't have a problem with Charles Hoskinson. I think he's an interesting guy to follow, but I feel like he's dead wrong on everything he said there. Could you answer this question for everybody here? The Geek
Yes.
06, go ahead. Does
G
stock
G
splits make the options cheaper?
GQ, the stock splits make the options cheaper. Yes, it does. It will come down. So right now it's like $47 for a Nvidia call, or $4,700 for one contract. Now, when it splits, you're going to see a much more digestible number, like $100 or $1 or 169, 259, 340. So you will be able to notice a significant difference in the option chains and the premium price that will be associated with the stock split. Tesla used to be $1,000, $2,000, and it's
Yep.
has split, and the options is much cheaper than they were when Tesla was the same price as Nvidia is today.
You know, I gotta just acknowledge that this is why I hang out with guys like Chris because they got that some of that swagger that I don't have. I thought this guy's name was Jique. I'm embarrassing myself. Chris didn't miss it. It's GQ. My bad, man. Thank you for answering that one. Okay, let me
Yes.
take you guys into this chart. Let's go in there. This is going to be Mara. I'm going to keep it simple, guys. I just want you to see this through my lens for a brief moment. Okay, over 10 days ago, I told everybody we were pushing higher. Actually, I called support at 15. I said, guys, we're going to come back to support at 15. We're going to bounce. Then we know that we're on a bullish run if we can get a close above 18. We got that. Then I told everybody if we get a close above 21, then this is where it gets really interesting and exciting because this is what's possible. So right now, like Bitcoin, like the S&P 500, Monday through Thursday gave us an ugly candle and rejection at the line that I gave you guys. But I'll just tell you this. Trust me when I tell you I'm watching this Mara chart. If we get a close on a daily time frame, 1 or 2 days above this 21 and back in this channel, it makes the reality of a $30 to $40 Mara back on the table. My second favorite's going to be Clean Spark, but I want to make another point. So many people, you know, if it's not flying today, they don't know what to do with themselves. But let's look. I want you to see this the way I see it. We made a low way back here in 2022, like we did on everything else. We have higher high, higher low, higher low, higher low. What is not bullish enough about this chart for some folks? Your thoughts, Chris?
Let them know, Josh, that is forming a baby cup and handle. So sometimes you have smaller moves within a bigger move. Josh is absolutely right. If we get it back above the 21, guys, we got a 60% upside move in Mara. Okay. But listen, about patience has to be taken into account to even let's two candles, at least two daily candles, got to at least get up there, close above that level, just to confirm that that's going to be a base. That don't mean it's going to take off from there, but you want to get and see that, because there's a cup and handle within that larger cup that is forming, that Josh just laid out. And so when you guys can start having and seeing those patterns and recognizing those things, you can start seeing, okay, I always call it trading in the trenches. There's small plays to be had in the here and now, and then there's macro big vision plays that's going to take shape over the course of 3 to 6 9 months. And so Josh is putting you guys potentially on a home run that has yet to happen. I talk to you guys every day about getting into plays before they happen. I saw Josh call out Disney before it happened. I seen him call out so many other ones. And Mara, if it gets to the level, so you don't throw his thesis out the window. It has to first clear the 21. Then everything is fair game.
Yeah.
Okay, but right now it's just still bubbling up. We got it. It's still not quite ready yet.
I appreciate that, Chris. Guys, I got Chris Sain on the show. This is a mile marker for my page, and I don't see the likes that this man deserves. Guys, take a minute and hit that like for me. Let's show him some respect. This man's a king in this space. I've been following him for years before I ever even got on YouTube, and I love this. Love what he brings to the table. Chris, could you answer a quick question? You don't even have to
Yep.
go in deep. Lamar Clark had a bad day. He said, I just lost $7,000 on AMD. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts was today was a day that everything got lifted up early at market open thanks to Nvidia. But if you didn't sell, you got caught in a sell-off that was a massive sell-off to the downside. So we had everything had a pop. I think Nvidia AMD even went to 170 today. That was a nice level. It got rejected, but it got there. So I always talk about locking in early morning profits if you are in a play to avoid a massive loss. You know what I'm saying? So AMD Nvidia held up, but everything else sold off today. And so that's the importance of having a stop loss and locking in profits. One or the other can protect you when you have big moves like Nvidia gave us in after hours yesterday and early morning today.
Yeah, there. I would say be careful about not. First of all, I think that's really good direction. We're both talking about the fact that we have a kind of a decision point on the market. Be careful not to overtrade. I don't know exactly what your position was if you had to close it, but you want to be careful that you stick to your trade plans. We saw that this week, Chris, in the Discord, in the Stock Squad Discord. I had advised we took a position on Tesla, and right after I made that post in the Discord, some bullish news came out on Tesla, and it just took off. Like it just
Mhm.
rocket ship, right? So I held my long-term puts on it that are out for September. I turned around and I went with a scalp on calls. But still, there was the question: were we done going down? My prediction was 163, and we had hit 169 since the big run-up. But
Mhm.
the question is, are we still going down? And then we saw price, and you're in that position. You've been in that position where you're leading people. You don't want to see them lose any money. But I just said to everybody, guys, I'm sticking to my trade plan. I've made my analysis. I'm going to be looking for opportunities as this runs up to add to my puts. And that proved to be very successful because price really, it ran up, capitulated. And I'll just show everybody that chart, Chris, so that you can kind of
Yeah,
see what we've been looking at. Let me pull that up.
absolutely. I think Josh is right. As he pulls that up, check this out, guys. Look at this Tesla run up and then look at this capitulation. Look at that lower high, lower high, lower high down to where it's at today.
Yeah. So one of the things I told them, Chris, if this can be seen clearly by you, is it was
Yep.
all about this channel here. Okay. I said, yesterday we came all the way up here, man. We were up at 189, and
Mm.
the thought process was that that might have been the low, and we're not going to get this right. And I said, so I scaled into puts here and kind of advised the family that's what I was doing. And today we got all the way back down, and we've even come all the way down to 174, which is support. We need to see how this closes tomorrow. It wouldn't at all shock me if we struggle in this area. I think that if we stay in this channel come Monday, I think it's a confirmation that we're going to open up and go all the way down to 163. Right now, this was a huge profitable run. I think that we want to take caution on the put narrative on Tesla because this could pop out of the channel. Right now, we came back within the channel. Any thoughts
Hmm.
on that?
Yeah, no, you're spot on. And that's why I say we have to take profits when we get up to those certain levels because now it has really just retraced that same move it came from. You see how Josh line was at 174. It bounced off that to went to 189, and now today it's back at 174. It's back within that channel. So the move, there was a powerful move to the upside that allowed for profit taking. We rolled puts down to 178 and 173, and so we're in the money on puts as well. But we're like I said, we're expecting if it holds up, for us to recapture that same height that you just called out, 189.
So I'm going to jump, if it's okay, Chris, to Solana real quick. We've done a lot of jumping around. I love this show. I think we're getting a lot of stuff answered for folks. Solana, Ethereum's having its moment, right? Ethereum's showing strength. If we run up on Bitcoin, let's just say, and the Bitcoin dominance fades over the next 45 days. Now, that might happen. Ethereum is already kind of having its moment, right? And that kind of indicates an alt season coming. But I'm not going to focus on Ethereum. They may or may not approve it. I'm bullish. I think that even if they didn't, you're going to see a flash down. I'm not completely convinced that the Ethereum run is over. Even if they didn't approve it, I think that the market can turn around and spin it and kick it down the road 2 weeks, and we could continue higher in that time frame. But I want everybody to look past Ethereum right now, and I want them to consider what the approval for Ethereum would mean. It means the next crypto on the table is Solana, in my view. And so, if we get to a point where Ethereum tops off, you want to be looking at the next fastest car. And right off the bat, I think it might be Solana. You have any thoughts on Solana moving forward?
Yeah, I think so too. And listen, guys, sometimes you want to play, if something else has ran, you want to be looking for what's next. Solana can be a beneficiary once Ethereum cools off. So just prepare, start getting your position size, understanding that over the
Everyone's
next,
saying, Chris, everyone's saying it was approved. So I missed that because I guess I've been away from my phone and computer. They're saying that the Ethereum ETF was approved.
yeah, okay. So today was the day they said it was going to approve it. So that's pretty much fresh news today. So you're still good, Josh. But what I'm saying is Solano. So say that now that it's approved, buy the rumor, sell the news is what Wall Street like to do. Ethereum will still get another run. But what Josh is saying is, and what I'm saying too,
Yep.
Solano is the next Lamborghini that's going to be on the racetrack.
Yep.
That makes sense, guys. And
Yeah,
so,
I'm with you, man. They're going to be taking profits, Chris. You got to remember, by the time retail gets excited and they go, oh, it's been approved, I'm going to go buy. Smart money's selling.
They're already selling it.
Rolling down to the new opportunity. Y'all don't realize how greedy smart money is, because retail is like, oh, I got a 10% win. I got a 20% win. Smart money is looking for hundreds of percentage points. They're looking to buy the bloody moment. So, yeah, I think, me and Chris are saying the same thing. Okay, Ethereum's still got room to go higher. That's not over. But look for the next big vehicle, which might be Solana.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to take a couple questions from the family. I saw some people shout out Dogecoin, and I'm going to tell you that I view Dogecoin, and we'll get Chris's thoughts, but I'll just tell you, Chris, I view Dogecoin, it's the Bitcoin of the meme coins. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most established. You're not going to get the biggest percentage move up, but there's going to be a ton of opportunity in Dogecoin. Pepe, over the last month, has been the biggest winner. And, I know that there's SHIB Army. I'm not saying SHIB won't go up, but you got to remember, guys, when the meme coins, it's always going to be the newer meme coins that do the best. I pretty much like two categories of meme coins. I like Dogecoin and then the newer coins. That's really where I'm at. You're going to find me on the Flokies and the Pepes and holding the bag of Doge. Any opinion on that, Chris?
That's funny you brought that up. Dogecoin, we was just looking at that yesterday on a coaching call. And lo and behold, it too, not on the same level, but it too was up over 100%. And so I was pleasantly surprised, man, that there's still some life in it. And like you said, it's the Bitcoin of meme coins. And so if you can get in that and get in and hold for a long period of time, it's money to be made.
All right, we're going to bring our show here to an end in a few minutes. Before I do, I'm going to touch on Sofi. But before we touch on Sofi and a couple other of these that you're asking about, the likes bumped up, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate you guys showing the love here today. We got to 975, but I'm thinking this is already worthy of 1,000 likes. And so,
Let's
guys,
get to 1,000
get
likes,
to
y'all. Let's
that.
get it up to 1,000 likes. Let's make sure
Um,
this get 1,000 likes.
Perry Abrams, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that affirmation, guys. Chris in the house from Crypto Coin. Michael. Someone's asking me about laser. I'm going to remind you guys, and this is so that everyone can learn and become good listeners. So here's what I proposed for laser. First of all, laser pumped when they did their earnings on the fact that Tesla was their biggest customer. I think 10% of their revenue, which was quite fascinating because it's kind of tech that could play a big role beyond EVs in robots. It's the ability for these AI-driven hardware to see the world and interact with the world, right? And at one time, Elon kind of dissed on these guys and on their tech, but only to find out in the last couple of quarters he's been buying it. Now I don't know if he's buying it to steal it, copy it, or if it's going to be, I don't know. So these guys, I put it on everybody's radar, but this is what you guys were told. You were told it's a buy if it gets above 220. All right. So if you bought it and it's not above 220, which it's not, then you bought it earlier than I suggested. Or for those who want to take a higher risk early position, it could be a buy on a pullback to 160 to 170. Now, we are sitting there. So if you got in this week on that price, then you put your stop loss 10, 20 cents below and you got in early. This is one that we are watching. It could be the next sound, but we're super early on speculating on that. So hopefully you guys remembered the game plan that I shared when I talked about it. Some folks, Chris, they just jump in the minute you talk about it.
Right. Back to take profits. He talked about Sofi. Really quickly, guys. This go round with Sofi, I'm playing it long dated calls. That $6 level to $8 level, if you're in calls, could do far more than how slow it might seem like it's moving if you're in shares. And then you can control the shares for a little cheaper price than buying you can control the contracts for a little cheaper than buying the shares too. So if you are in SoFi, longest it's in the sixes, it's a buy area for it to make its way back to the $7 and $8 range, with it topping out towards $10. Now, if you got a longer term outlook, 1 to 3 years, then you can look for the $12 to $14 range.
All right, I'm going to show one more chart, and we're going to get Chris's opinion on Palantir. Let's go into the Palantir chart. All right, guys, I have given you this way in advance, and that's the hallmark of the Stocks with Josh show, is that I'm not telling you about it on the day that you got to make a decision. I'm telling you guys what I think will happen before it happens. We have this clearly defined up channel. We have a clearly defined rejection at the top. We've got this other rejection, right? We actually came under the middle of the channel, and then we got a super important rejection candle right there, which happened to be the biggest candle in the entire channel. You see that, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
The biggest candle in the entire channel was at the middle. So that tells me we going to the bottom of the channel, guys. So
yep,
if you've been, yeah, man, we're going to hit 1975. Now, here's what I'm going to be watching for, okay? We need to see volume and a green candle this big the day we touch 1975, okay? We need to see something this big pushing us up. I'm not sure about that. This chart is bullish because it's moving higher, but it's going to be a day of reckoning when we finally get to 1975. And if you've been following me, you know that we're going to look for some candles to break beneath, back test this structure. And here's the bottom line, guys. The next structure it's going to go to is right there, $14. And so if you're wanting, I'm a huge fan of Palantir. I actually really like it. I think that this is going to be a company that's going to just surprise Wall Street in the future. I'm not going to call it the next Nvidia, but these guys, cybersecurity, PanW. I think that the problem they have is that they're not. The market is looking for a bigger profit margin, and they're looking for a certain percentage of revenue growth each and every earnings, but they're also looking, like we said earlier, Wall Street's greedy. They ran it up and they're going to run
Yep.
it down, and it's what's going to be called a swing low, which will still be higher than the previous swing low that we had in 2022 and
Yep.
2023.
I
And
agree,
so
Josh.
patient buyers, I can tell you, this is my future vision. Do I know that it'll happen? No. But I would be thinking, man, load up at 14. This thing is probably a $30 stock by
It
the,
is a $30 stock.
yeah.
It's going to 27 and $30, but I love that entry, Josh. That 19 to $14 level. If we can get it, if anybody watching this can get that at that level, $14 to $19, and you take it up to $27 to $30 range, because it's going to go back to the top of Josh's channel too once it gets done doing this business on the downside, thanks to that big candle. So you guys got a big opportunity, and I would look for earnings. Like you said, they're not getting the love, but one of these earnings, they're going to get that. They're going to use it
Yep.
to be the catalyst to push it up if it's already down at 14 or 19 by the time earnings come around.
Just want to acknowledge Kathy Schumann. Super chat. Thank you, Kathy. Beyond blessed today. Big thanks to both of you guys. Hit that 1,000 likes. We did. We got to 1,125 likes. It's like a payday. I love it. I wanted
Thank
to
you, Kathy.
I wanted to share with you, Chris, my advice to, I won't call it advice. I will share with you a strategy I shared with the family regarding Palantir as far as a metrics to better understand trading disciplines. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This was the comment I made. If we break at that 20 and people are not using a stop loss, they need to be prepared to buy as much as they currently have at $14.
Yep.
If they can't do that, then they need to stop loss it, park
At
that
20.
cash, and buy at
Yep.
14. So
Yep.
it's not, and guys, that's not financial advice. All that is let's say in the course of time, all of that
That's
happens.
that. Listen, guys, what Josh just laid out is how you properly build out a play.
Yep.
So you're getting it at $19, $20 range, and he's saying if it loses that level, you need to go in more at 14. That's going to bring your average cost down. So when that move he taught you guys back to 27.30 happens, now your average cost is around 22, maybe 21, but you benefit sitting at $30 or $27. And so that's just properly how you build out your play. You got some at this level, and if it breaks, you get some more at this level, anticipating it's going to ultimately run back to the upside.
I agree with you, Chris. Stock up with Larry Jones in the house.
Larry
Hey,
Jones, what's up, family?
hey, my man. This was an excellent show. Thank you, Chris, for being here
Man,
today,
thanks for
giving the
having me, Josh.
insights. I loved it. Thank you guys all for joining us. Feel free to hit that like. If for some reason you're not subscribed to this man, I've left his link in the description of the video. I'm going to put it in the top pinned comment, and you should. I'm watching his videos, and so should you. Chris, thank you again for being on the show today. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
Peace and blessings. Take care, fam.
Yep.